Afternoon everyone, it's Clive here again. It's time to start brewing, and today I'm going to make an American IPA called Ottin IPA. It's from my boiler's nearly ready. Look at that. This is the book I'm using today, Clone Brews by Tess and Mark Szamatulski, and I'm making Ottin IPA. Here we go. So that's what I'm going to have a go at. First off, 6.1 kilograms of malt. 6.1 kilograms in the mash tun. Now I need 283 grams of Crystal Malt. The water has now been boiled and it's cooled down to 80 degrees, and I'm going to add about 10 litres to the mash tun using my trusty container here. 10 litres of water are added now, and I give it a good old stir up so that all the water's in contact with the mash, and you can see all the air's coming out there, so that's the water's displacing the air between the malt grains. Let's seal up the mash tun then. I'm going to leave that for an hour and a half for the water to extract, to dissolve the sugar out away from the malt. That's the mash tun wrapped up and asleep for the next hour and a half. Now to get that boiler back on and boiled up quickly so it will be ready for the sparging in the next phase. Water boiler has been filled up and boiled again, and the water is now down to 80 degrees C. Time to unwrap the mash tun. This is definitely one of my favourite moments when you take the lid off the mash tun. Wow, really nice. Now the reason I'm doing this is to capture any sediment into this first bit, then I'll tip it back into here and the grain will act as a filter bed and capture those fine particles, so I'll let that run out. This is the sparging stage. Now we're using the boiled water to wash the sugar from the malt through into this container here. All the water has been emptied into the mash tun, and my container here is pretty full, so I'm going to have to decant this back into the boiler. At this stage it's about 60 degrees and it needs to heat back up to boiling, at which point I'll add the hop. Well, the boiler is definitely boiling. First hop is 57 grams of Magnum. The hop boil, one of my favourite stages of brewing. I pop the copper chiller into the boiler so it can sterilise, and that's then connected to the outside tap. The next hop additions are Cascade and Liberty. I've turned the chiller on, and that's the end of the brewing. Here we go, folks. This is the last stage. I've got to pitch the yeast into the now bitter wort, and that's the last phase until 5 days time. It's 6 days later and the primary fermentation is finished, and here's my primary fermentation bucket ready. Here's my pressure barrel. It had been soaking with sterilising solution since the last time I've used it, so probably several months, and I've just rinsed it out with copious amounts of cold water. And let's have a look inside the fermentation bin. Here we go. What you can see is the yeast layer that's developed on top of the beer. For the secondary fermentation stage, I'm going to add 2.5 ounces of ordinary granulated sugar. That'll go into the pressure barrel. Here's a siphon. This will go into the container to about here, just above. You can see the sediment layer at the bottom there. You can just make out the end of the siphon, and the beer's been transferred into the pressure barrel. Not too bad, you know, we've got a good sort of 80% full barrel there. What I normally do with the sugar is I tap a bit of the beer off and dissolve the sugar in the beer, and then tip it into the top and keep repeating that until there's no sugar left in this little cup. In here we have the beer with the finings and the sugar, and to each of these bottles I'll just add a tip of a teaspoon just to give it a little bit of extra. All done, 26 bottles of beer bottled up, and nestling in the corner I've still got just under half a barrel of beer. Okay then folks, until next time, happy brewing.